intervention will be occurring. So if you see just general statistics for Arkansas, that's good if they're using that to establish a widespread problem, but not sufficient if it doesn't include local information. So it'll have that specific intervention. So you should also, as a reviewer, after reviewing the application, you should have a clear understanding and be able to describe what the specific intervention is. So in the example on the screen, this would not be specific if in the application it just stated intervention tutoring. That wouldn't be specific because that would leave additional questions for me as a reviewer. Well, all right, so they're going to tutor. How often are they going to tutor? Right? So in the example on the screen, you see that it's 3 times a week. The dosage and the duration are clear, 3 times a week for 20 minutes, on the 5 building blocks of literacy skills. So it's very specific. And then it is supported by the evidence that shows this specific intervention will improve children's reading grade, help improve the reading level for those kids that are below grade level in 3rd grade. And it also, in the intended outcome, describes how they will know that success was met. And I'm going to pause right there because I see that there are 12. I see that there are some comments. Oh no, you're struggling to hear me. I'm glad I'm. Okay. We'll have a recording, and I will also thank you so much, Star, to make sure that we will also give you the PowerPoint. And I'm closer to my computer. Can you hear me? Is the sound any better? Can someone put in the chat if the sound is better?
I think the person who is having trouble isn't able, I think it's their device. But we're gonna have this PowerPoint and I just hit record. Can you hear me?
All right, well, I'm gonna.
Can you hear me, Kim?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay, yes. I hit the record button now. So we're gonna be a little behind, but I don't really think we needed a ton prior to this getting into it. But we're gonna hand out this PowerPoint anyway, so you should be able to review it and submit any questions.
Yes, and how's my sound, Star? Can you hear me?
I can hear you well now. I had to turn up my volume. Anna was having trouble. I think she just needs headphones. Okay. So hopefully the recording will be okay.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. All right, so I'm going to get back into the content. And then I've mentioned this a bit. So as you're critiquing the theory of change that's present in the application, where is the data that they're using? Is it national or local? And even the intervention, is the intervention that they're proposing, has it shown success with a group that is not the same fundamentally as what they are proposing? So for example, if they have an intervention that has shown to work for senior citizens, but it's a 3rd grade program and there's no other evidence linking that this intervention has been shown to work with this target population. Now, if they have internal performance measure data, they could use that to show, hey, we've used this intervention before and this is how it's worked. So they can include their performance measure, their own agency performance measure data to show the theory of, to support their theory of change. Yeah, the proposed activities are supported by research, and it demonstrates a high likelihood that the activities will address the need and result in the intended change. And then I've added this information on the screen about the member intervention specific to AmeriCorps rules and regulations. And I want all peer reviewers to know that EngageAR staff also reviews the applications. The Governing Advisory Commission on National Service and Volunteerism also review applications. So there are pieces that are specific to AmeriCorps that staff will ensure there's compliance in the applications in those sections. But I also want you to know in reviewing it, these are some of the pieces that we are also looking for that members can't perform duties that would normally be already completed by a staff or paid staff or volunteer. They can't duplicate. However, members can expand services in an organization, and because of that line, that is a piece that staff really evaluate for. And then members must not participate in prohibited activities during service hours, and AmeriCorps has very defined member prohibited activities. I have a slide on that later. But again, the slide is just to give you a high-level overview of it. Staff will be primarily responsible for ensuring that applications do not include AmeriCorps prohibited activities during service hours. And discussed a bit about evidence-based interventions. There's specific on the score sheet, and I'll show you all the score sheet after we go through this presentation. On the score sheet that you have, it will list specific criteria that we're using so that it'll be very clear for you as you're assessing. But the evidence-based, the quality of the evidence is something that reviewers are also reviewing, and I sort of touched on that. Applicants are required to state their evidence tier in their application. AmeriCorps has very specific definitions of evidence tiers, and this is an area where staff will be ensuring that the applications meet the various evidence tiers. We want for reviewers to just really be assessing the quality of the evidence. After reviewing it, does this seem likely to you? You'll see in the application the heading Notice Priority. Again, this is here just to give you a heads up. This is something that is assessed by staff. There's no point associated for this section. AmeriCorps has very specific criteria of what it considers for an application to receive priority consideration. In order to do so, the applicant must show that the priority area in their application, so education, veterans, is a significant part of the program focus and intended outcomes, and it must include high quality program design. But again, it doesn't affect scoring, but I just wanted you to know that that is something that you'll see. And on the reviewer sheet, I have it, but I have it noted as for staff review. And I referenced earlier the prohibited activities. Again, this is an area where staff will review, but just at a high level, you'll have, when you have the PowerPoint, you'll have access to the federal code that lists the AmeriCorps prohibited activities for activities that members may not engage in while performing service or receiving service hours. Another aspect of application review is member experience. So we've talked a lot. The first that we've talked about is evidence quality and the intervention. Also as important is the member experience. And I have questions on the screen, and there are specific rubric criteria that you'll have mirroring what's on the screen for assessing a member experience. And then big picture, I'm going to let you all know why this section is so important. For us as staff, we really understand, and I'm sure this will make sense to you as well, how important the member experience is for member retention, for having members continue their service year, and also then for member recruitment. If members cannot retain, if programs cannot retain members, how can the work the members are, how can the intervention that the members are engaging in be completed? How can the proposed outcome occur if the programs are unable to retain members? So member experience and member training, from my perspective, is highly important in considering the application and program design. So the picture that you see on the screen is one of our programs who has done a really good job of training their members, providing additional training opportunities for their members, and allowing their members to be leaders. The two members on the screen there have served 4 different AmeriCorps terms, and that is a testament to the amount of training and member support that the program there has provided. And think about the continuity that the service recipient receives because of that. So that's a little of the back end piece, but as you evaluate the application, there's specific criteria for how you assess is member experience. After reading the application, does it seem to you, based on the information in the application, that members will have opportunities to develop as leaders and that they will have a meaningful, engaged service experience? I also think as you're reviewing it, are you thinking, you know what, I know someone, myself or my friend or someone that I would refer to do this experience? As just, use the rubric, but that's something that also you can have in the back of your mind as you're looking through the member experience portions of the application. Another section is organizational capacity. So as you're reviewing the application, based on what's in the application, does it appear that the organization has the staff capacity to implement this program? And I have the prevent, detect, enforce / address on there because federal grants mean federal grant compliance monitoring. So based on what you see in the application, does it appear that the applicant has thought through how they're going to monitor their program? Have they thought through what systems they will put in place to ensure grant compliance? And when I talk to applicants about this section, I tell full disclosure, I tell them this is the section where you should be bragging on your organization and your staff and highlighting that relevant experience. And yes, how you know that your organization has strong systems set to ensure high level of monitoring of federal dollars. So that's what I tell applicants. But so as you review their application, it should be clear to you that the organization has the ability to implement this program. And I'll say we have asked that the organization have a staff person that is dedicated to AmeriCorps implementation. So that is also something that you should see in the application, that they have a staff person that's dedicated to this, in addition to describing how the larger organization has the ability to successfully implement this program. And then you're also assessing, does the application describe a culture that values learning? So we want to know how they're using information to inform processes. So one of the wonderful things about AmeriCorps is it gives organizations a chance to implement these programs, and if they're using evaluation and setting up these great feedback loops in their program design, if something is not working, that is okay in our world. We can then change and adjust. They can change and adjust their program. That's a good thing that they're learning. That they're learning and using information to inform and improve. So they should include information about how about their organizational culture being a learning culture. And their application also must describe member supervision. And member supervision is separated out from member experience in the application and in the scoring. So as I said, that they should have a staff person that's dedicated to AmeriCorps, but you also want to see in the application narrative that they have thought through what member supervision will look like, because AmeriCorps members are not staff. They're this unique position of folks who are engaging in national service. So we want to see in their application that they thought through who is going to supervise the members. What will that look like? So you should see that. Also, there are the performance measure section. You'll see that in the application. The performance measure section, logic model, it will all be informed by the theory of change, but you should see at least one aligned performance measure that corresponds with the primary intervention. And it's all what they're assessing with the performance measure is an intervention that is carried out by the AmeriCorps members. And you want a performance measure that is aligned and achievable. And what I mean by aligned is that if they have members, if the organization has members engaging members who are tutoring, then their assessment, their outcome will be likely around gains in school readiness. So an unaligned measure would be my AmeriCorps intervention is math tutoring, and my outcome is how many pounds of food AmeriCorps members were able to produce, right? So. And so also we want to know, as you're looking at the performance measures, and again, this will be repeated throughout the narrative and in the logic model, what tools is the organization using to measure the outcomes? And does the tool appear to be a valid method to collect the numbers reported? So for example, I took one of the AmeriCorps interventions over the next two slides around improving school readiness. And this is a common one that our education programs use, so you might see this. So the output is on the number of individuals served, and the outcome is number of students demonstrating gains in school readiness. And you can see the different interventions that a program could be using to achieve that outcome, and how they're going to measure collected data. They should have in the application, it should be readily identifiable for you, a tracking mechanism that ensures an unduplicated count of individuals have received services. And then how they'll do that is typically through standardized testing or pre and post testing ideally will be used. And then, so more on performance measures, I have two pairs of outputs and outcomes on the screen. The first pair says 600 individuals will receive job placement services for the output, and the outcome is 360 of the targeted individuals will receive jobs. The second pair has output, 600 individuals will receive job placement. Outcome, 360 of the targeted individuals will find housing. In the chat, please feel free to list which pair is an aligned performance measure, pair 1 or the pair 2. Alrighty-o, I see in the chat, pair 1, correct. Pair 1 is an aligned set of performance measures, and so I am hopeful that all Indian applications that you've received will have just that, an aligned set of achievable performance measures. And then just as a real life example, I took from one of our programs that is currently funded right now. This is what in their application, how they describe their intervention that they're using. So their selected intervention is tutoring. And I'll just read or let you read what the intervention is. And I'll just do high level. So their members are providing one-to-one tutoring to up to 10 students each. And then it also goes in to describe, the amount of hours that the members will provide to the students on average, and what is defined as a success. So the students to be counted, the students participating must attend 75% of the sessions to be included in the outcome. And then the instrument that the program is using, they are using pre-post tests each semester, and then they have a defined amount, a 10% numeric grade increase over the first 9 weeks, and then they continue to describe what a success looks like for them. And if there's any questions at any time, please feel free to stop me. And so logic model, all applications will include a logic model. As I said before earlier, the logic model will be no more than 3 pages. And it's a visual summary of the theory of change. And it describes, the purpose of the logic model is to describe how the program will create the theory of change. So it's laying it out visually. On their logic model, you'll see the resources or input. So those are the things that the organization is saying, hey, if we have all of these things, then going over to activities. If we have these resources and input, and that would be staff, space, materials, then our AmeriCorps members will do these activities, tutor. The output, what will result from those activities, and then the outcome, what if they accomplish their planned activities to the full extent, what is the impact of the output from the activities that the members perform using the resources. And then it'll also include the long-term goal. So here on the screen is an example of what it will look like in the application packet. You'll have the summary of the problem, the need, input for resources, the activities, all just as I've described, with only the addition of the medium-term outcome. And so as a reviewer, you're looking at this to see, does it make sense? Is it in line with what they said in the theory of change? And also, is there anything else that you can think of? Other inputs that they're not considering, or other sources of information regarding the need and the problem. Last year, one reviewer who was her subject matter area that she is an expert in, has lots of experience in, it was around education, and she was able to provide to the application that she was reviewing. She listed another source of Arkansas information, and a data bank source that provides a host of information that was relevant to the application that she was reviewing, that the applicant didn't realize was another place that they could get information that strengthened their argument. So the final section of final part of application review is the budget. And not all reviewers feel comfortable reviewing budgets, and that is fine, or reviewing audits, that's fine. So if you do not feel comfortable reviewing the budget, that's okay. I would encourage you to try if you have any experience here, because know that staff is also reviewing the budget, and even so for the compliance pieces, staff is there looking for compliance. So much of budget review is just double checking that there are no mathematical errors, that the cost appears reasonable. So when programs submit the budget, it must align with their narrative, and ideally it would be submitted without errors. But again, staff is going to also be reviewing applications to ensure overall compliance. So as a reviewer, if you could be, and if you would also review budgets just for errors, for mathematical errors, and then just high-level overview. The AmeriCorps budgets are divided into the sections that you see on the screen. Section 1, AmeriCorps allows folks to include operational costs. Then there's a section of their budget dedicated to member costs, and a section for indirect costs. And then they have all AmeriCorps grants require a match, and the match percentage grows over a 10-year period. Again, because that is a specific compliance piece, staff will have the primary responsibility of ensuring compliance there. So I hope I'm making reviewing the budget seem low risk, because it is. I think this is an excellent professional development piece as well. And because of time, I'm not going to go into very much detail about the individual sections of the budget, but if anyone has any questions about individual budget pieces, I'm happy to talk to you about that. What most relevant here are commonly missed budget items. It's really just math errors mostly. Or if you are a reviewer who is reviewing the budget, you should be able to tell from what's listed in the budget narrative how the applicant came to the amount that they're including. There should be a formula included. So, for example, if they want to include travel, it wouldn't just say, their budget wouldn't just say $500. It would be broken down into $250 for an airline ticket, $250 for a hotel equals $500. And we have a budget checklist document that we provide to programs that I can also provide to grant reviewers if that's helpful. Again, if you have any questions about budget review specifically, I am happy to walk through that. Or if you're reviewing a budget and you have just a question about something, you can always send me an email or give me a call about that. And then key dates. So next Thursday, applications are due. So by Monday, February 7th, we'll get out applications and score sheets and all of that to reviewers. If you'd like it electronically, that's easy. If you would like a physical copy, which I understand for reviewing and making notes, please let me know and we will get these in the mail to you so that you can have a physical copy to review. Reviewer feedback and conflicts of interest forms are due on Friday, February 25th. This is so that we can turn around and get feedback out to the applicants, because then they will have until March 25th to revise their applications and make the suggested changes. They'll submit a new application. Then we'll have the final review based on their revisions, and that piece, staff and Government Advisory Commission on National Service and Volunteerism, they will ensure that that revisions were made in the application. June, July 2022 is when the tentative award will occur, and then August 1st, 2022 is when the earliest program can start. So all of our foundational documents, if you want to see what the notice of funding opportunity looks like, what the applicants have access to, there's some training we have listed that from AmeriCorps headquarters that they provided that are really useful if you'd like to see it from the applicant side. If you have any questions, my email address is on the screen, as well as my telephone number. And now here is my face. Are there any questions? That's a lot of information in 52 minutes and 25 seconds.
There's one in the chat about getting electronic and physical copies.
Oh, yes, most certainly. I can definitely do that.
Do you have certain hours that you'll be available to help with this? Or if anyone has questions, or what do you have available for that?
Oh, I can send out my Calendly link for that, and I can also I can schedule some just time that would be open on my calendar prior to when your scores are due to be available for questions. Thank you, Star. I can definitely add that.
And if you can remind me, we've got a lot of prohibited activities cards I can include with those paper physical copies. If you hand those out, it might be easier to have that separate.
Yeah, definitely. Any other questions that I can answer? Seems like y'all want to review the applications, and that's great.
I do have a question. If I have a friend that wasn't able to make it today, what's the best way to get them looped in?
Well, have them send an email to EngageAR so that we can, or send them an email to me, but we can get them on our mailing list so that they can be know as we have information come up. And we will also get this presentations and we'll get this presentations and the slides posted and just available for access. He can, he or she, I'd be happy to provide it to.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay. Well,
So I'm sorry. So when you are saying to get people looped in, are you talking about for this funding cycle or for future funding cycles?
both and.
All of the above.
Both
yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm curious, how many applications have you guys gotten or will get? How many do you anticipate?
New applications, new or recompete, 5.
Okay. And how many people give feedback on them?
That varies. So just depending on how many reviewers we have,
Mhm.
that is what will inform that. All staff will review. We have commissioners who will review. And then depending on how many reviewers we have, I think the more eyes on applications, the better. But I just want to make sure that it's even for each one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, then I will give you, then you now have back 8 minutes. All right, y'all have a wonderful day.
Well done, Kim. Thanks.
Thank you.